back to the channel. Today we're going to bring you guys along as we pack up a whole bunch of orders for delivery. We got some local stuff, egg deliveries, and then we also got a big wholesale delivery that we've got to do. So it'll probably be the full box of the truck, and then we'll take it about an hour and a half kind of down the road there to another farm that they sell lots of fruit and peppers and tomatoes, and then we supply them with a lot of smaller stuff, beets, carrots, greens, cabbages today, and then onions, and I think some potatoes too. So yeah, follow us along today as we get ready and pack up a bunch of orders. Well, we just sent Shaylin off. She's heading off to do the egg deliveries and then the town deliveries for the small veggie orders. We're still using the pickup truck for deliveries. This is actually our first week of having to do the egg deliveries again. We had some staff here for a better part of the summer, but last week was their last week. So Shaylin's back to being the delivery driver. We're still using the pickup, which is a completely inefficient way to do it. Only having the back seat. We're gonna have to get a van at some point, but so she's gone. I think she's got like 140 dozen and then about 6 orders. Should take her probably about 3 hours, give or take. So me and the kids will be responsible here for packing that wholesale order. We're gonna head up and do the chickens up at the leased land plot. And if you guys have been watching any of the other videos that we've posted this season, the chickens kind of started up in this upper corner, and we've already moved them all the way down to the end, swung around the corner, and then now they're working back up this way here, and the garden blocks are just on the other side here. So we probably got another 3 moves maybe in here, and then we might take them to the home farm and set them up there for a little while. We'll play it by ear. It's going to kind of be dependent on when the water gets shut off here. These guys just shut the water off to get their final crop of hay. So once they're done, they'll put the water on it for a little while to take it into the fall, but at a certain point we'll have to pull the pin. And then with the veggies too, we'll have to make sure that we get everything harvested out of there before it's too late and we lose it. So we'll take you guys over to the garden blocks and show you how things are growing. So one nice thing about this piece of land is that the grass up here has just been absolutely amazing compared to the home farm. You can run the chickens through here and they can do a bit of damage. Like you can see, it's pretty brown in behind me there. And then the minute you lay the water to it, it bounces back. It's such established grass. And then the other thing that we've been doing is that the girls have been bringing their horses up. We didn't end up getting the hooved animals up here really, like in regards to sheep and whatnot. So the horses have been coming up and kind of knocking it down. So we'll bring them back probably 3-4 more times in and around here. You can see where the line was there, but they've been doing a good enough job for us for this season. And then the chickens kind of come in behind them. But yeah, one thing that we struggled with a little bit this year was just the weed pressure, which we knew the minute that we basically cultivated the land that weeds were going to come in. We didn't get enough landscape fabric down. We did for the onions for the most part, but we wanted to do the cabbages and a few other things, but it just didn't happen. So you can see that there's some tall weeds in and amongst the potatoes here, which is what it is. We'll just maybe buy some more landscape fabric for next year and try to mitigate it as the years progress. The irrigation system worked well. I ended up taking in that filter system out. If you guys watched the last video, it just restricted it too much. And I didn't end up actually needing it. I don't know if it's just because we're not running it 24 hours a day that it doesn't build up like other people had mentioned that it might. But yeah, I'll get you guys turned around here. Yeah, so you can see the potatoes are looking really good. We've already harvested, I think, maybe 4 rows, but there's a whole bunch. So we got probably a full day of probably 3 or 4 of us in here to get it all harvested and start curing. But we've already started to ration the water off so that it isn't quite as wet when we dig them up. This is the final round of beets, which they're coming along. They're still pretty small, but that's fine. These will be good for fall storage. These 3 beds here never actually ended up getting planted, so I should have covered it, but I didn't. So we'll get a black silage tarp on there. And then we're starting to see signs of some spaghetti squash. So they're just coming. There's a ton of them though, in amongst the weeds. I was up here yesterday and harvested a bunch of these beets for the wholesale customer, and they are really big. They're really nice. So we'll probably try to get up here later this week and get the rest of these just into cold storage because we don't want them to keep growing. And then these are the cabbages that we'll be coming to get today, which they're sizing up quite nice. So we'll steal 100 of these greens. A little bit of bug bite, but not too bad. The nets did help a little. So yeah, 100 greens. Already harvested these for the CSA. Got to come and clean it up still. And then we got to get 100 of these purples. Or sorry, 50 of these purples. Already did this bed last week. And then we got a little bit of delicata squash. 3 beds of that. And then these 3 beds, I believe, are butternut. So they're a little slow. We got them in late, but they're coming along too. And then we got 8 beds of onions left. They're already starting to cure in the field. We've stopped watering them now for about 2 weeks. So I think what we'll do now is we'll come in and we'll just pop, because we're running out of storage at home to cure them, is that we'll just pop these out and then just lay them in the beds and let them cure out in the field, just to buy us some time until we get the ones at home done. And then you can see we've already done, I think, about 8 beds. So we'll be planning on coming back and getting that all cleaned up in the next couple weeks, and then lay a silage tarp down on top of that as well. We've been using the nursery tables in this, I guess, greenhouse 1, where we do the seedling sale, to cure the onions. And we've just been kind of doing it in stages. So we'll come and we'll pull 3 beds and then lay them out and let them cure in there up off the ground, good airflow. But there's just so many onions that we can't pull them all at once. So that's why we'll leave some out in the field this time and slowly work towards getting them all harvested. I would think probably in the next couple weeks would be my guess. Being that we're taking so many to this wholesale customer today, I think over 400 pounds. Was it 100 pounds each, I think? So it'll be like 400 or 500 pounds of onions. So that'll free up the seedling room where the grow lights are. That's where we like cold storage things, because we can drop the temperature in there so much. That'll free up a bunch of space. So then all the stuff in the seedling nursery can get tops cut off, put in there, and then that'll free up more tables to bring more up. So I just figured I'd show you guys what I was referring to. So you can see we already got some onions laid out here down at the end, and then on this side we got a bunch of reds. So we just stack the middle tables up on top. Tabletops are kind of down here, and then we just stack the onions on top just to let them cure. You can get a little bit hot in here to cure onions, but it's not too bad. We got good airflow. And then we leave the tops on them to try to give them a bit of shade so they're not sitting in the direct sun. So these ones have kind of started to cure in the field. We got to let them cure a little bit longer, but the necks are starting to dry right out. So they're almost ready. And then these will all get put into cardboard boxes, and I'll take you down and show you how we store them in the cold storage. And then once they're out of here, then we bring in the next batch and then dry them just in stages. And then if you've been watching any of our other videos, like I say, like this is normally all full for the seedling sale. And then once that's done, June 15th, then we pull everything out and then throw some compost in here and plant the beds out. So we got some English cucumbers down the middle, and then Shaylin's got 2 rows of pickling cucumbers on either side. And then we planted them a little bit late so that we can sell them later in the fall for those people that don't want to can in the middle of summer. And then we tried doing melons on down either side too, but we were way too late. They're not going to turn into anything, so we'll probably pull those and see what the rest of the season brings. But end of August already now, so close to the end of August. There's not a whole lot of time left to really put anything in there unless we're going to do like a fall batch of kale or something, but we'll probably do that in greenhouse 2, which I'll show you guys that in another video. I think we might do a farm tour here, a video end of August farm tour kind of thing. So we'll keep you posted on that. But let's jump over to the storage room and I'll show you that. So inside this storage room, you probably remember with the lights, all of the seedling trays in here. So at this time of year, we just take the heat pump, turn it right down, and then turn the dehumidifier on and bring the humidity way down too. Try to run the humidity around like 40 to 50. Obviously you can't get it perfect for every crop, but we just try to balance it and meet in the middle. So this is what I was meaning by the onions. So we'll go and we'll harvest them all and then dry them and then put them in these cardboard boxes. And then put them by the type. So the far ones there, wall to wall, is these are red storage. We got some boxes of shallots. So they did really good this year again. They get quite large, which is nice. And then we got our garlic and I think cipollini onions. They're kind of a small flat onion as well. And then we got the potatoes. So we bag them up into 2-pound bags, multicolored. I think Shaylin did like 4 different varieties this year, so they look nice in a bag. And then what we'll do today, being that we got to do a few 100 pounds of each type of onion, is that we'll take the stuff that we already have cured up, ready to go. That way we can make room for the new stuff to come in. And then that way going into winter, we have the freshest stuff so that it lasts us the longest. So I think we needed to do 100 pounds of each. So it'll be close. We might not have quite enough, but that's fine. We can always tack on and take another load up when we have it ready. So with that being said, let's dive into carrots. I did about 150 pounds of carrots yesterday, so that today wasn't such a big day. So we'll go get those done. And the nice thing about this wholesale deal is that we don't wash anything. The beets go dirty, the carrots go dirty. We just throw them into big bags, and then they can throw them into their cooler, and then they can wash them when the time comes, because a lot of that stuff kind of stores better when it does have a bit of dirt on it. We finished this carrot bed up yesterday. We'll just keep continuing on here, and we've been having to broad fork them out. There's always a couple beds every year that the carrots get really stuck in there. So we are definitely still shooting for nibbling carrots. Like, we're not really growing long-term storage carrots. We grow Napolis all year long. And then we just will let some of them get a little bit bigger, because we plant, like, each one of our plantings is 2 50-foot beds at a time. So we'll pull most of them when they're kind of that size, like a nice bunching carrot size. And then we'll let the other bed size up a little bit bigger than this while we jump to the next succession. So usually we'll plant 4 beds of carrots side by side. And it's easier for the mister lines because it'll cover 4 beds. So we'll just leave the mister line set up until both are germinated, and then we'll harvest one as nibbling carrots.
How do we weigh big amounts of stuff?
The big grayscale.
Where is it?
I don't, it should be in there.
Like the flat one?
Yeah. We'll harvest one bed when it's like this. We'll let the one beside it size up, and then we'll jump to the next succession for carrots this size. And then by that time, we'll be able to harvest these ones for bigger carrots. So we usually try to do ones this size in like 1-pound bags. And then anything in 5-pound or bigger, we'll be pulling out of a larger bed normally. We had a gap in succession. So anyways, we're harvesting all of them this size for today's order, but usually we'll let the bigger ones, stuff like this or bigger, be for 5 pounds or larger in the bigger bags or the boxes. And then one thing with the Napolis too is that they're not really a storage carrot. But for what we've found, we're not really storing them for longer than, a few, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Well, never that long in the summertime, but we'll usually take 4 beds into winter, or for winter, I should say, and we'll store them in the cooler. So we'll always keep about, what would that be? Probably like 10 of these boxes, these storage boxes, in the cooler, and then we'll sell those from basically when we get the last carrots out of the ground, so early November, and then we'll sell those into December, January, and these store just fine. If you were wanting to store them for 6-8 months, I don't think that these would be your first choice. There's definitely better storage carrots out there for that, but for what we're doing and the length of time that we need to store them for our small amount of winter sale months, the Napoli's have been just fine. And they stay nice and sweet, coreless, so it's basically like getting a summer fresh carrot in those few winter months. So we'll just finish filling up this box, and then we'll go get to weigh in. All right, well, that's the last 60 pounds-ish of carrots. It's probably 50. So what we'll do now is we'll get this area all prepped up. It looks like Zoe's just finished packing up a few orders. She said she put the other one in the cooler. So now we'll come in, we'll just get this whole area prepped up, and then we will start bagging and making a stack with a check sheet and checking them off as we go. And then we'll probably just end up stacking everything up on the cooler for now until we get a count, and then it'll go back into the cooler. And then we'll load up the truck once Shaylin gets home. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all of the bins of carrots out, and then we'll start bagging those into 20-pound bags. Okay, well, our big scale that goes up to 50 pounds just shit the bed, so we're having to do this a little bit different. We're making it work, but we're having to use our salad mix bags. They're a scale that only goes to 10 pounds. And then we're just putting 5 pounds in this and then dumping them 4 at a time into those to get them 20 pounds. It's a little silly, but that's all we have right now. The big scale broke, so we're just making it work. So we already got 2.5 done, and we'll just get 8 more to go. Okay, well, we managed to get the carrots done. So each bag's 20 pounds. It was a bit of a pain using the small scale in the bucket, but anyway, we got it done. Yeah, so 10 of those. Those will go into the cooler now because I want to make sure that the temperature stays cooled, just because we have such a long drive, and because of the quantity it'll be in the box of the truck. It's going to get fairly hot today. So we'll transport these back into the cooler and start stacking them in there, and then we'll move on to beets. All right, we got our 200 pounds of beets done. We'll get those moved into the cooler. And then for beets this year, especially for our storage beets, we did a bunch of Taunus. So they're a cylindrical beet. They did quite well up on that new tract of land. They sized up really good. I mean, there's some that are even bigger than these ones I'm showing you. And then for the main season, like bunching beets, we've done the striped beets and the rounded golden beets. We had a bit of a struggle this year with germination into the cell trays, so we didn't end up getting as much beets of the cylindrical and the gold as we wanted, but it was okay. We had a ton of these extra, and we still have a whole bunch in the field, so it's probably good that we had to cancel a couple plantings. So that's so far. Beets done, carrots are done. Zoe's harvesting 50 bunches of radishes, kale, and then I think we'll start jumping into these onions. So we'll start bringing out, I think they wanted 200 pounds each. So they want 200 pounds of Walla Wallas, 200 pounds of yellows, 100 pounds of reds, 50 pounds of shallots, and 50 pounds of the Cipollini onions. So we'll start pulling those out, and then we can just stage those out on this freezer for now. And then, yeah, and then we'll be getting pretty darn close to going up and doing the cabbages. Okay, so the Cipollini onion is just like a real flat storage onion, surprisingly enough. Good flavor, nice and sweet. That's our second time growing them. We did a lot more of them this year than we did in years past. So again, we're having to use this small scale, so it's a bit of a fill dump instead of just having our big scale and just fill in the box, but we're making it work. So we're just shooting for 25 pounds in each box. That's working out pretty good. It's basically pretty well flat, so we should be able to stack these up in the truck, and then we can run a strap over them like such. So 2 25-pound boxes. And then one thing we're watching for too is just anything that has gone a little bit soft. Sometimes they look good when they're out drying, and then once you bring them into the storage. So we're always just looking for any ones that might go a little bit punky, or ones that slip through that split in the field. So we had a few of this variety do that this year. I think it's because they were done, we left them in there, and then they had a heavy rain and then split. So we'll separate those out as we go. So that's the 2 boxes of cipollinis. We'll quickly weigh up 50 pounds of shallots and then move on to the other onions. So this is our second year growing these shallots. They're Ambition, I believe, is the cultivar. And they're a fairly large shallot. Like normally the ones you see in the grocery store are probably that size, maybe a little bit bigger, but I mean, we have ones that are absolutely massive. They've been good, cure well, sell well. So same thing, we'll just get these all weighed out. And I don't know if we're gonna have quite enough. I think we'll probably just send them with maybe 25 pounds. That'll leave us 25 pounds here. I don't want to give everything away. We, again, didn't have great germination on the shallots this year. For some weird reason, a few of the onions as well. So I think we only ended up with 3/4 of a bed. I think we were shooting for 2 beds. So we just ended up planting a different kind of onion. I don't know if we're gonna have enough to give them 50 pounds. Okay, well, we got the dream team out here. We already got 50 purples in the truck, and we're just finishing filling up for 100 greens. Looking to get a bit of variety in size, from big ones to a little bit smaller ones. Do it.
Come on. See what I did there?
3 more.
I know, they're kind of hard to find sometimes. Pardon me?
I got 2 here if you want to leave that one.
That's right.
Okay, so we almost got 3 full beds. We'll probably be able to do the market
CSA?
out of this last 3. Keep this one covered.
Yeah.
Okay, so we managed to get as many as we needed out of here. There's probably enough to probably do the CSA and maybe 1 more market. And then this will all get pulled and cut out of here. And then we still got 3 more beds, which will hopefully be another wholesale order. And then the rest will be probably for markets. We do our best to cover these things because we don't spray on this farm. So we do use these nets to keep the bugs out, but you're never going to get them all out. Usually the ends, you'll get a few bugs in there. But for the most part, you can just peel the leaves off and they're still totally salvageable. I'm just gonna stand here and talk while these 2 do all the heavy lifting. Okay, so we're deciding to put some lids on these boxes because we're gonna have to stack them on top of the cabbages. So then we'll be able to stack them nice and high, and then we can run a strap over top. And then, who loaded this?
No idea.
Yeah, we need some air in the tire. So at, I don't know, about 200 pounds, 400 pounds on this cart. Great job, girls. And then we got beets and radishes, kale, celery. So this soft green stuff we'll put in the cab of the truck, keep it out of the sun. And then these root vegetables, they'll be fine in the back. It's not that far of a trip. So we'll finish doing these boxes and then stack it up. Okay, well, we changed the plan again. We got all the cabbages in the back. We got all the 400 pounds of beets. Is it 400 or 200 pounds of beets. And then we got all the greens, onions, and then the carrots in the back seat. Like I said, it's just 2 of us going now, so we didn't need to put as much back here as we thought, but we'll make tracks. All right, well, we're on the road. So it's been a minute since we put any content. This summer kind of got away from us with new staff and training and whatnot. We didn't get a whole lot of footage in regards to planting. Once the seedling sale kind of hit, we were in full swing, and then the gardens took off. So we'll try to get some footage of a few things going into the fall. We still got, I think, a month and a half, almost 2 months of market. So there's still lots of harvesting to do. Planting is slowing right down. So it'll be a lot of harvest and pack and put away. But with that being said, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one.